Thanks for joining the replay today. During class we used the foam roller and the pillow. You will most likely only need the foam roller for the replay. Enjoy. So your foam roller is going to be horizontal on the mat. You'll be on your back.
Okay.
About brow line for extension. Cool. So once you have the foam roller behind you, walk your feet together and out a little bit more than you think until it feels like your toes want to come up, or until it feels like you can't really point anymore to keep your feet down actually. Once you get there, have your hands behind the head, sit tall, start to lengthen back looking for the ceiling. And then as you come up, you look at the wall in front of you. When you're doing this, you can focus on just moving your spine back over the foam roller and then picking it back over the foam roller. If that doesn't feel like a good idea for today, you could focus on drawing the abs in as you go back so that it feels like a stretch for the abdomen. And then keeping that sensation of drawing the abs in to come back up, which can help you get a little bit more flexion through the thoracic spine. Good. And then stay pushing into the feet, into the ground. Three more times like this. You can also create space between one vertebra at a time as you go back. You focus on maintaining the length as you come up. And then the next time you go back, you can focus on another space between two vertebrae. Good. And when you come back up, stay up here. You're going to put weight onto your feet so that your hips float up a little bit. And you'll start to pull your heels towards the hips so that the foam roller goes up your back. And then you will also push back up. And I want you to look for a place in your back where it feels like you could use a little bit extra support and movement. And when you find that spot, you'll take your hips back down. So I went up maybe like one vertebra up higher than the one I was at before. You may not be there, you might be somewhere else, that's fine. Then anchor your hips down to the ground and do the same thing. Going back with your inhale, reaching the elbows to the back wall. And then exhaling as you come back up for the ceiling. Yep, so you're just going back and forth. But you're going and you're trying to sync it with your breath, where your breath takes you back. And your exhale brings you forward. And if your inhale is really long and you go really slow, that's perfectly okay. And if sometimes you have a little bit of a faster breath, that's fine too. Sometimes it happens. Good. 3 more times like this. More. And from here, you're going to lift your hips again. And once again, move up and down through the foam roller just to kind of see where you find a spot that you want to work on. And if you are done working on any spot, you could just take a break. Or if you want to work on another spot, then you lower the hips down once you find that. And again, going back as you breathe in. And exhaling as you come forward. We're going to have the elbows pointing out in front of us so that you can see them close towards your temples. Instead of being aberrant, having really close. This way, when you go back, the stretch is going to change a little bit more, and you might feel it through the back of the arm, closer towards the armpit. It will also help you get get more opening through your upper back. Good. Once more like that. Now put weight onto the feet again. This time you're going to move back to the bottom of the rib cage where you are right on top of your shoulder blades. Or sorry, not on top, like your shoulder blades are right on top of the foam roller. Good. Once we get there, we stay growing really tall, and then a very tiny movement, we go over to the right as we stay tall, and back to center, only to where it feels comfortable, and then over to the left. We want the crown of the head to reach for the ceiling, and elbows and forearms for the ceiling. Looking for our knees as we come to center. And then you can keep doing this, or if you want to try different areas, you could start to go back a little bit as you lean to one side, and then sitting yourself up. So you'll twist at the top, and you'll lean to get a nice stretch and support it through your back, and then you'll come up. If at any point it feels uncomfortable as you're going back, you're simply going too far back, so don't go that far. And sometimes it's easier to go back than other times. This one's a lot of stretch, it's also a lot of work. Squeeze the knees into each other. You'll feel your inner thighs working when you squeeze the knees. That will help you lengthen over the foam roller a little bit more. Good. And then you'll finish out at center, roll yourself back down. Take the foam roller out and then up towards the ceiling. Your head, if you need a pillow, you can have one. If not, you can just be on the ground. Feet together, knees together, foam roller is above you. Wrap your hands under it and about shoulder width apart. Shoulder blades heavy onto the mat, taking up as much space as possible. That might make your grip a little bit wider. Start reaching the foam roller behind you, above you. And then back towards the ceiling a little bit to the knees. Just balancing. Oh, I can tell that I worked out earlier. My arms are shaky. Like, incredibly shaky. It's because I made my very, very unstable elbow do a lot of work that it doesn't like to do. 2 more times like this. And once more. We keep the hands the same width. The elbows are going to stay close towards your waistline. You're going to bend the elbows, keep the shoulders wide as you balance the foam roller. And then you'll press back up. You're trying to continue to take up as much space as possible with the shoulder blades at all times. As you balance down, elbows close towards you. And then back up towards the ceiling. This is kind of the feeling of doing a tricep push-up that you'd get. Like you pull the shoulder blades apart to help you lower towards the ground. And then you push the ground away or the foam roller to the ceiling. It's a cool feeling. Keep your elbows as close to your side as possible, almost like they want to pinch into your waistline, while keeping the collarbone as heavy on the mat as you can. Last 2. Then take the foam roller under your knees. Once it's under your knees, take your your feet under it and just roll your feet. It feels really nice. You can roll slowly, you can roll quickly, whatever feels good to your feet. Sometimes I like to go really slow to get a nice stretch through the calves and through the tops of my legs. Other times I like to go quickly just to kind of warm up the muscles in my feet. Good. Then take your feet together, knees together. You're going to try and keep your toes on there as much as you can while rolling forward until you feel a stretch on the top of the foot. And then squeeze the knees into each other, the ankles into each other. If you happen to feel your inner thigh suddenly be like, oh my gosh, I have to work, then just let them know that's okay. It happens. And then keep the toes reaching forward as you start to roll back towards the heels, so that as much of the heel stays on there and the toes also pull back. This might make your lower abdomen engage and feel like a big stretch through the back of the leg. And then we go over again, just trying to keep the entire sole of the foot connected to the foam roller as much as possible, and then rolling back. Like you're trying to imprint your foot and then keep going back and forth, smoothing out this movement to get a little bit of like mobility through the ankle, through the feet. Make the muscles in the feet work. If you need a break at any point, you take a break. And a couple more times. Sometimes the foam roller will start to run away. That's starting to happen to me. If that happens, just pull it back and continue practicing the full range that you need. Okay. Now let the feet relax. Let the foam roller roll underneath the heel so that you are now behind the ankles. You're going to relax the feet. Let the knees turn apart, away from each other, and then into each other. You can separate your feet about hip width apart or a little bit wider. And again, going apart and into each other. And you can stay on your back, your head down. Nice long neck, or if you'd like, you can take your hands behind your head and curl yourself up to look for your feet as you're moving them. This is only if you want to work on your abdomen and your neck feels like doing it. If your neck's like, I don't think so, you just stay down. It's not necessary. Take the foam roller to about the middle, almost to the top of the calves. You don't want to be on the knees, but close towards the knees. You'll be in a turnout, the feet will be apart. You'll bend the knees in this turnout, letting the feet roll towards you, and then you'll press away. And you'll continue this movement. It's going to feel really gentle and help you open up through the hips. Good. If for any reason it feels like something's popping or it's not supportive, then we need to take the knees a little bit higher, so you could always take the hands under and kind of guide the movement so that the knees don't drop too far out. That would be something that if you tend to be really mobile through the hips, you might experience. But if your hips are not loosey-goosey, don't even worry about that. If your hips are tight, you just let the knees hang, readjusting the foam roller as needed, because it'll start to move up the leg, so you can always push it down a little bit. Good. Couple more times. Then the legs go straight. Together, point the feet, flex the feet. Point the feet, flex the feet. Then do 10 more like this. Hands heavy into the ground. Your ankles might start to feel like they're working. Your legs might start to feel like they're working. You can just be like, hey, we love you, keep working, good job. break, that works too. I stopped counting, so we're just gonna do 2 more. And then alternate your feet. One points, the other one flexes. Keep pushing your shoulders heavy into the mat. You might feel your lower abdomen working to help you keep the sacrum heavy. If you feel that, awesome, good job. If you don't feel it, that's okay. You could try drawing the lower abdomen in until you start to get that sensation of the abs working. And now we're gonna do a little bit like running where the ball of the foot stays together and then you switch your feet. It's harder because you have the foam roller. So what ends up happening is one foot, the knee that bends, actually comes off as the other foot flexes. This is gonna make the top of your leg work. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. It's good for you. You'll also feel your lower abdomen work. And this is technically footwork, and you don't even need a reformer to do it, even though the reformer does feel cool for footwork. But this way it's not moving underneath you. A couple more times. And then let's set yourselves up however you need to. I'm just gonna roll up. Cool. We're gonna take the foam roller long ways underneath it. You place it long ways. You sit at the very, very end to make sure that you have space for your back. I'm short and I have to sit at the very end, so I always say most people should sit at the very end. Cool. When you're ready, you'll roll onto your back. Your nose will be straight for the ceiling so that you have space for your throat. The sacrum's heavy. Take your arms out wide and let them lift towards the ceiling a little bit so that it feels like you create as much space as possible between the ribs and the hips. Maybe like somebody's lifting you like when you were a little kid and they grab your hands and they pull you up towards the ceiling. And then from here, every time you breathe, let your sternum and your lower ribs sink down into the foam roller until it starts to feel like your chest is opening and like your upper back muscles are starting to work and your shoulder blades are wrapping over the foam roller down towards the ground. If you feel that, awesome. If you're just like, I'm not sure, but this is cool, I'm okay with that too. You're gonna try and keep your back and your chest in this type of engagement and stretch as your hands go for the ceiling. We're gonna make fists, like you're pulling apart a samurai sword. That one's for Kim. And then the arms are gonna lower down for the hips, the shoulders stay wide, and then back up for the ceiling. We'll do that 3 times total. And then at the top, we will switch to T on the next one. Sorry for the wording. So we're at the top, the arms open out to the side to T, and then back up to the ceiling. So this is like you're gonna open up that samurai sword, squeeze the shoulder blades and pull them apart to open, and then bring the hands back towards each other. Pull apart as much as you can, reach through the knuckles, and then back up towards the ceiling. I'm gonna do 6 more like that, pulling apart into T, and back up to the ceiling. Have 5 more. Does that mean? I don't know, I think so. 4. 3 more times. On the next one, once the hands open out to T, turn the palms towards the ceiling, pinkies down for the hips, palms to each other, back up to the ceiling. The hands open out to T so that you end up with pinkies down for the hips, still in a fist for the ceiling. We're just letting the humerus, the upper arm bone, roll within the shoulder socket. You can imagine like you're leading from the elbows. The elbows reach down, up and out. Or my favorite, like you have wings and you bring them forward, you open them up, and you bring them down. Or a cape, that could be fun too. We've gone superhero. Or vampire, not quite sure. Reversing, reaching down. This one's more like the vampire one. Open and back in front. It is October. I'm getting to that. Good. Hmm. 3 more times like this. I think there's some kind of emergency thing going on outside. Last one. I keep hearing this type of sound. You're gonna let your hands rest. And it just occurred to me that it's the first Thursday of the month, and I always say this the first Thursday of the month, and typically one of you guys tells me. So from here, keep your nose to the ceiling, hands firmly pressing into the mat. We're gonna take the right leg to tabletop, and then pull it in close towards the chest, and then towards the wall away from us. And you'll just pull into the chest, into the wall away. If that's too difficult, you can keep it small where it's just like a tiny little movement. Whatever range feels best for you. When the leg goes away, if you squeeze your glute, it's going to help you support the weight of the leg. Good. Let's go for 3 more. 2. And last one. We're going to place that foot down. Pick up the other one once you're nice and stable and organized, so that you can pull the knee in close towards you, and then press away to where it feels best for you today. One side tends to be a little bit more difficult than the other. Hopefully you pick your more difficult side first, unlike me. But if you didn't, good luck. Go to the range that works. Good. 3 more. Eee. Squeeze your glutes. I did it. That was hard. Good. Last one. Good. Placing that foot down. Now sit yourself up however you need to, or roll off to the side. If you're sitting up, you could practice taking your arms for the ceiling or behind your thighs to lift yourself up and start to roll forward. You might lose it, it might not work. I lost it today. See? It happens sometimes. Okay, so the foam roller, horizontal. Once it's horizontal, your butt will be here, your feet will be here. No pillows for your head. Lift your hips. Roll the foam roller under your hips. Your hands can go on the outside of the foam roller, on the ground. They could be on top. I just want plenty of space for your throat, nose for the ceiling, your ears to reach to the back wall, and your shoulders to be as heavy on the ground as possible. Then you'll take one leg up to tabletop, followed by the other. Pull both knees in. You could give them a little bit of a squeeze the first couple of times. And then knees for the ceiling. Again, knees come in. Again, you could squeeze the knees in. Knees for the ceiling. And your hands can go back out to the side as you pull your knees in. And knees for the ceiling. We'll just keep doing that pattern for a few. You might feel your lower abdomen work. Good. When your knees go for the ceiling, you could start to squeeze your butt. That will help you pull the knees for the ceiling and eventually away more. Okay, but we're not going there right now. We're going to keep the knees for the ceiling now. Straighten the legs. And then just let them drop. Again, straighten them up and let them drop. Knees stay for the ceiling. We'll do that 3 more times. Just notice how the muscles relax when you let them drop. It's kind of a nice feeling. Also kind of scary sometimes. Then you're going to straighten the legs, point for the ceiling, squeeze the legs into each other, flex the feet, point the feet, flex the feet, point the feet. 3 more times. 2. And once more. Keep the ball of the foot together for running, heel up, other knee bends, and switch. Running feels different here. This one's fun. This one's easier. Even though it seems so hard at first because it's confusing. Good. Three more on each foot. 2. 1. Keep the legs for the ceiling, let them drop over your head. Then you're going to separate them about shoulder width to reach down, away a little bit, squeeze the glutes together and back up. So you're just circling more so above your body rather than away from the body, but you are starting to pull away a little bit towards the opposite wall. Letting the glutes engage to help you pull away. You have 3 more like this. You can be in a slight turnout like a Pilates V. And then at the top, overhead reverse, or once you get to the top, you'll go back down through center, apart at the bottom, and then up and together. Good. Three more like this. Last 2. And on your last one, your feet will point for the ceiling. Right knee comes in, left leg stays for the ceiling. The inside of the foot is going to glide on the inside of the leg. You'll reach straight up. You'll pull back down. You'll reach straight up. You'll pull back down. Good. 3 more times. 2. Once more. Other leg stays up. That one, the inside of the leg pulls into the chest. And away. For 4. 3. 2. And once more. Good. Pull both knees in. Give yourself a hug. As you're hugging yourself, breathe into your back. And then when you exhale, try and pull the knees closer. One more breath. Hug yourself. Then pushing the foam roller away. Sitting yourself up however you need to. And you guys are all done for today. Good job.
Thank you.